more secure if public matters were in other hands. It wasn't a direct accusation of treason, but it was enough. In June 1954, the decision came. Oppenheimer's security clearance was revoked. He was stripped of political influence. He was removed from power. He was publicly humiliated. Not imprisoned, not executed, but professionally destroyed. Overnight, Oppenheimer went from national hero to political liability. He lost access to classified information. He could no longer advise the government. He was effectively silenced. But he didn't disappear. Instead, he returned to academia. He became director of the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton. There, he spent his remaining years surrounded by students, thinkers, and mathematicians. But he was never the same. Friends described him as more withdrawn, more reflective, more fragile. He had helped unleash a power that could end civilization, and then he watched that power grow beyond his control. Some say Oppenheimer lived with regret. Others say he accepted responsibility but not guilt. He believed that once the atomic bomb became possible, someone would build it. If not America, then Nazi Germany. If not him, then someone else. But that reasoning did not erase the moral weight. In private conversations, he often reflected on the burden scientists carry. He once said that physicists have known sin. It was a powerful statement, not political, not strategic, but deeply human. In 1963, nearly a decade after his public disgrace, something unexpected happened. President Lyndon J. Johnson awarded Oppenheimer the Enrico Fermi Award. It was considered a gesture of rehabilitation, a quiet apology from the government, recognition that perhaps he had been treated unfairly. But by then, the damage had been done. His reputation had been shaken, his influence permanently reduced. In 1966, Oppenheimer was diagnosed with throat cancer. He had been a heavy smoker for most of his life. On February 18, 1967, J. Robert Oppenheimer died at the age of 62. The man who helped change the course of human history died quietly. No state funeral, no dramatic ending, just a complicated legacy. Today, historians continue to debate him. Was he a hero? Was he naive? Was he a tragic genius caught between science and politics? Or was he simply a man who understood too late the consequences of knowledge? The atomic bomb did not just end a war, it began a new era of fear, an era of nuclear deterrence, an era where humanity lives under the shadow of its own creation, and Oppenheimer became the symbol of that shadow. But perhaps the most powerful part of his story is not Hiroshima, it is what happened after. A man celebrated, then cast aside. A genius elevated, then humiliated. A scientist who built the ultimate weapon, then tried to restrain its expansion. His story is not just about physics, it is about power, politics, fear, and the fragile line between patriot and suspect. In the end, Oppenheimer's life forces us to ask a question. When knowledge gives us the power to destroy the world, who decides how that power is used? The scientist, the soldier, the politician, or history itself? Because once a discovery is made, it cannot be undone. And once the genie is out of the bottle, it never returns. J. Robert Oppenheimer helped create the atomic age, but he did not control it. And perhaps that was the greatest tragedy of all. The father of the atomic bomb became its most haunted witness. If you look at old photos of him in his final years, you see a thin man, sharp eyes, a quiet intensity, no longer the triumphant scientist of 1945, but a thinker, a philosopher, a man carrying invisible weight. History remembers the explosion, but rarely the silence that followed, and in that silence was Oppenheimer. This was the untold story of what happened after the bomb, not the fireball, not the mushroom cloud, but the fallout inside a human soul, and that may be the most powerful story of all.